Good morning, all of you. I welcome you all to Ansarkari. So in this video, we'll be analyzing the important articles for 16th of April 2023. So first, we'll be starting with the Hindu newspaper. So here. So जब हम बात करते हैं OCI स्टेटस की, ओवरसीज सिटीजन्स ऑफ इंडिया, तो यहाँ पे हमें पता होना चाहिए दैट बेसिकली अभी रिसेंटली एक्टर चेतन कुमार का ये OCI स्टेटस इट हैज बीन टेकन अवे. सो हमारे लिए एग्जामिनेशन पर्सपेक्टिव से व्हाट इज इम्पोर्टेंट इसकी डिफरेंस पता होना पीपल ऑफ इंडियन ओरिजिन एंड OCI सिटीजन्स एंड क्या कंडीशंस हैं, एंड अगर आपको ऐसा स्टेटस दिया जाता है तो आपको क्या परमिसिबल चीजें अलाउ की जाती हैं. सो दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर अस टू नो फ्रॉम दिस पर्सपेक्टिव. So people at the Baisakhi Mela celebrating Baisakhi. So moving forward from here. So Chinese dual-use facilities in Myanmar and Sri Lanka, it raises security concerns in India. So we know कि China अपनी Indian Ocean में जो presence है उसको increase कर रहा है. So it is having this dual-use facility Myanmar में और Sri Lanka में. So construction of the military facility on the Coco Islands, Myanmar में, and a proposed remote satellite receiving ground station system in Sri Lanka, both they are coming up with the Chinese help. So obviously India के लिए this has increased concerns because of the possible surveillance across the region जो China कर सकेगा in Indian Ocean region, and definitely हमारी security के perspective से this is going to be a threat for us and it's going to be a challenge for India. So recent satellite images show the construction of the military facility on the Coco Islands, which are located very close to Andaman and Nicobar Island chain. So in the second case, China, it has proposed setting up a remote satellite receiving ground station system through a collaborative effort between the Aerospace Information Research Institute under the Chinese Academy of Sciences. So this is they are building up in Sri Lanka. So आप एक बार Atlas अपनी open up करके if you can locate Coco Islands, which is here it is saying it is very close to Andaman and Nicobar Island chain, so that would make things easier for you to remember. And इसके अलावा we have talked about this is basically a part of Chinese strategy जिसको we know it by the name of the pearl of strings theory. So it is in a way it is trying to encircle India, and that is in the Indian Ocean only. So जब हम सेम सेक्स मैरिज की लीगलाइजेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, दिस थिंग इज सबजुडाइज. So इससे रिगार्डिंग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बेंच हैज बीन फॉर्म्ड. सो वी नीड टू नो कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बेंच में क्या कॉम्पोजिशन होती है, कितने नंबर ऑफ मेंबर्स हो सकते हैं. So Supreme Court, it has announced the formation of new constitution bench, which will be headed by CGI to hear a series of petitions seeking legal recognition of the same-sex marriages. So right now they are not legal in India, and we know कि Section 377 it was homosexuality it was decriminalized, but उसका मतलब ये नहीं था कि जो same-sex marriages है they have been legalized. So उससे regarding things are going on, and that is the case. So I told you कि constitution bench से related you can find out little more details. So जब NCERT के हम syllabus rationalization की बात करते हैं तो it is being said कि NCERT it has met 25 experts and 16 CBSE teachers. उसके बाद ही they took the decision and accordingly they have made the changes in the NCERT textbooks. So obviously एक थोड़ा political issue भी है because जिस मतलब जो चीजें जो टॉपिक्स डिलीट किए गए हैं उससे रिगार्डिंग दिस हैज बिकम अ पॉलिटिकल इशू आल्सो कि व्हाई ओनली मुगल्स महात्मा गांधी एंड हिज असैसिन नाथुराम गॉडसे रेफरेंस टू द हिंदू एक्सट्रीमिस्ट इन 2002 गुजरात राइट्स से रिलेटेड ये सारी चीजें डिलीट की गई हैं सो that's why basically it's a more of political thing. So soon there are going to be state assembly polls in Karnataka. And coming to the world page, so here we are seeing that US Vietnam they pledged to boost ties during Blinken's visit to Hanoi. So that is another thing in the Indo-Pacific region. And obviously, we are seeing that days after flare-up in tensions between with China over Taiwan. So obviously, USA and China already they are engaged in like the ties are not that stable or not that good. So Taiwan strait एक reason है, and apart from that, trade war is also going on between US and China. So that is the thing, and USA and Vietnam they are trying to build up their relationship much more stronger. So on the other hand, we are seeing कि जो Brazil का president है, he is on a China visit and he is saying that USA को यूक्रेन वॉर encourage नहीं करना चाहिए. So that is the update from here. So we are seeing clashes in Sudan as well. So in African continent, आपको पता होना चाहिए African Horn में कौन सी countries are a part of it. Apart from that, Mediterranean Sea के बारे में जो possible questions हो सकते हैं, you need to know more about that. So at least इस region के लिए it is very very important from the examination perspective. And since यहाँ पे अब now we are seeing clashes in Sudan, तो definitely ये region अपने आप important हो जाता है. So paramilitary और army के बीच में there is clashes, and paramilitaries they say they are in control of the presidential place as well as the Khartoum airport. So this is what paramilitary forces are saying, and army denies this claim. So says ki it has launched airstrikes. Civilian leaders they call for an immediate ceasefire between them. So दोनों के claim other मतलब a different है, and this is the reason for the clashes there. So Indians in Sudan, they have been asked to stay indoors. And because of this clashes, they have broken out in the country between the military and the paramilitary forces. Coming to the science page, so James Webb Space Telescope is a near infrared imaging reveals a compact galaxy. So अपने आप में telescope है ही बहुत important, and as per its new images, new infrared images, it has identified a compact galaxy. So this was magnified by the gravitational lensing, and they obtained spectral information with strong nebular emission lines that reveal some of the galaxy's physical properties. So galaxy has an abundance of oxygen and hydrogen. So H1N1 antiviral resistant. H1N1 spreads from wild ducks to chickens. So H2N3 के बारे में पता होना चाहिए, that is related to what, and ये different names है, इससे confusion हो सकता है. तो इसमें you need to have like clarity. So when influenza burden it is high during certain years, the amount of antiviral or seltamivir used will be high. So much of it enters the water system also, and it will end up driving antiviral resistance in the avian viruses. So previous work has demonstrated that influenza virus, it can develop resistance to oseltamivir carboxylate. So it is a medicine which is used when the virus, it infects the wild ducks that are exposed to the environmental like OC concentrations, suggesting that environmental resistance is a concern. So this is the reason ki how do they develop this antiviral resistance to the uses of this oseltamivir drug. So T cell and B cell के बारे में we need to know, इस पे already question पूछा जा चुका है, and here we are seeing in the context of Omicron variants evolve strategies to evade T cell immunity. So obviously T cell and B cells, they are related to the immunity of human body. So the cellular mechanisms and the consequences of the enhanced MHC1 inhibition by the Omicron variants on the infection and disease, that remains to be determined as of now. And Omicron variants, they can survive better in a human host. So that's there. And so अगर वो successfully T cell immunity evade कर पाएंगे, तो वो human body में अच्छे से survive and sustain भी कर सकते हैं. Here we're talking about Omicron variants. So अगर हम human body की immune system की बात करें, so neutralizing antibodies, they help in preventing infection, while T cell, they reduce the viral load and they clear the infection by detecting and killing the infected cells. So T cell का जो role है, that is to reduce viral load in the body, and जो infection है उसको delete करना from the body by detecting and killing the infected cells. So no doubt they play a very important role when it comes to human immunity. So when a virus, it is infecting a cell, immune system, it attaches a part of that virus, it is called antigen, to the MHC1 molecules. Uske through it is able to present the antigen on the outside of the infected cell. So one of the most like common tricks that viruses, they are using inside the body to avoid killing is to inhibit the MHC1 expression and presentation. So SARS-CoV-2, it is no exception to this thing. So this is what been identified, an ancestral strain and a few other SARS-CoV-2 variants, they had this ability to escape from the T cell mediated immunity by reducing the expression of MHC1. So that's why this is the reason कि वो human body में थोड़े लंबे time के लिए they are able to sustain themselves. So talking about unique characteristics of graphene, so here you can see the term magnetoresistance. So this is one more thing graphene does differently. So here we're seeing that researchers in UK, they have discovered another property of graphene, which is a single atom thick layer of carbon atoms bonded, they are bonded in a honeycomb pattern. So in this picture, you can see that's how these atoms, they are bonded with each other. And the pattern, this pattern is called the honeycomb pattern. So that further distinguishes this wonder material, that is graphene, from others. So it has been discovered that graphene room temperature pe, it shows anomalous giant magnetoresistance at room temperature. So this is the result of electrical resistance of a conductor being affected by magnetic fields in adjacent materials. So magnetoresistive RAM in computer, it is used there. It is in biosensors also, it is used, automotive sensors and the medical imagers. So जो GMR based devices हैं, they are particularly used to sense magnetic fields. So basically a conductor is sandwiched between two ferromagnetic materials, Ferromagnetic materials are the metals attracted to magnets like iron. So when the materials, they are magnetized in the same direction, the electrical resistance in the conductor is low. So it's a fact कि जब मटेरियल दे आर मैग्नेटाइज्ड इन सेम डायरेक्शन तो इलेक्ट्रिकल रेजिस्टेंस कम हो जाती है, सॉरी इलेक्ट्रिकल रेजिस्टेंस कंडक्टर के अंदर कम हो जाती है, यस, एंड व्हेन द डायरेक्शंस जब ऑपोजिट होते हैं टू ईच अदर द रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीजेस एंड दिस इज नोन एज जीएमआर व्हिच इज द जायंट मैग्नेटो रेजिस्टेंस. सो जब बेसिकली डायरेक्शंस ऑपोजिट होते हैं तब रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीज होती है एंड दिस इज जीएमआर आल्सो. दिस इज मतलब अगर हम इसको पूछे कि होता क्या है तो दैट्स व्हेन वी कैन से कि दिस इज कॉल्ड जीएमआर. So straddling the spiritual and the political, here talking about Dalai Lama. So he's the spiritual leader who fled to India. 1959 where he fled to India and is now seeking a non-violent resolution of the Tibetan question. So modernizing the political and the temporal aspects of the organization in exile and greater autonomy for Tibetans within the region. So that's what he's seeking for. So basically, he's the 14th Dalai Lama who fled to India in 1959 following unrest in Tibet, which was invaded by communist China at that point of time, and which always had suzerainty claims over this region. So from initially advocating independence for Tibet, the Dalai Lama has come a long way to now seeking a version of Tibetan autonomy within China. So that's how things have changed, and demands have also changed. So in today's times, we are seeing that as challenges, they are changing. So World Bank is also changing its way of functioning, its business model. So it is like pivoting its focus. It is focusing more upon climate action and transforming its business model also. So इसकी ज़्यादा डिटेल में जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है and the Rakhi and the critical drugs का जो imports हैं they have been eased. So हमारे लिए यहाँ पे important critical drugs ज़्यादा है comparatively. So new foreign trade policy में it is allowing duty free import of the life saving drugs. So life saving drugs पे कोई basically duty कोई tax नहीं लगाया जाएगा and राखी पे भी कोई टैक्स नहीं लगाया जाएगा customs tax. So Rakis they will also attract zero customs duty for the cases where relevant levy is rupees 100 or less, and gifts which are related to Rakhi though it will attract levies. So this is a small update and जो important features हैं of this foreign trade policy जो कि अभी recent updated version है of the previous policy जो कि लाई गई थी for 2015 to 20. सो उसके बाद COVID-19 आ गया तो इसको और 2 साल के लिए एक्सटेंड कर दिया गया था बट नाउ वी आर हैविंग दिस न्यू फ्री फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी. सो इसमें बेसिकली कोई टाइम पीरियड फिक्स नहीं है कि ये इतने टाइम पीरियड के लिए आई है. सो जैसे जैसे चैलेंजेस आएंगे चीज़ें चेंज होंगी अकॉर्डिंगली इसमें चेंजेस किए जाएंगे. सो ये सब हम पहले देख चुके हैं जब हम इसके फीचर्स की बात करें. सो विल नॉट बी रिपीटिंग ऑल ऑफ दैट. So our finance minister is highlighting and focusing upon कि जो cryptocurrency से related issues हैं उनको immediately they need to be resolved या they need to be focused more upon. So issues related to crypto assets, they require immediate attention, and the response of G20 had to ensure that they did not lose any potential benefits while protecting the economies from any harm. So अगर हम RBI का stand पूछे कि क्रिप्टो करेंसी से लेके आरबीआई का क्या मानना है, तो डेफिनेटली आरबीआई इज नॉट सपोर्टिंग द यूसेज ऑफ क्रिप्टो करेंसीज इन इंडिया एंड इट इज नॉट अलाउइंग फॉर दैट. एंड रिसेंटली टैक्सेशन में कुछ चेंजेस किए गए हैं व्हेन इट कम्स टू क्रिप्टो करेंसीज. सो इंडिया में 1% जीडीएस हैज बीन लेविड एंड 30% टैक्स आपको पे करना पड़ेगा ऑन द क्रिप्टो करेंसीज इफ यू आर लाइक if you trade or invest in cryptos. Taking up the Financial Express now, and so the new Northeast, a keen observer of the region, gives an outsider's view of its history, politics, and development. So we'll be looking into this thing, and so let's start with the Financial Express. So the millet mission. While India is striving to put millets back on the plate, lack of incentives for the farmers to switch from rice and wheat and insufficient push for the consumers also to make a major change in their diet, they are coming in the way. So hum obviously on the one hand we are promoting कि हमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा millets consume भी करने चाहिए, and when it comes to the farmers उनको cultivate भी करने चाहिए. But the challenge यही है कि क्या incentives government provide कर रही है ताकि farmers shift हो जाए from rice या wheat से towards growing and cultivating millets, and same time consumers भी अपनी diets में how do they make relevant changes so that they are like consuming more of millets. So यहाँ पे कुछ challenges हमें देखने को मिल रहे हैं. And finance minister is saying the economy is going to stay on course in this current financial year, and growth is likely to be around 7%. And again, cryptocurrencies, where she's saying they need urgent attention. So she said a conducive domestic policy environment along with the government's focus on structural reforms has kept the domestic economic activity in India robust. So the active role of the government, the fiscal policy and definitely monetary policy is also there. So उसकी वजह से जो हम Indian economy की resilience, stability and confidence की बात करते हैं, that's how we are able to keep it strong and we are able to ensure that it moves forward with much more strength. So G7, it agrees to speed up the phase out of the fossil fuels. सो यहाँ पे सबसे पहले हमें ये क्लैरिटी होनी चाहिए कि G7 कौन सी ग्रुप ऑफ कंट्रीज हैं, G20 कौन सी ग्रुप ऑफ कंट्रीज हैं, G4 क्या कंप्राइज करती हैं. सो इसमें जो बेसिक डिफरेंस है दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज से रिलेटेड ऑब्वियसली डिफरेंट डिफरेंट इनिशिएटिव्स लिए जा रहे हैं. सो ग्रुप ऑफ 7 nations, they agreed to accelerate the phasing out of unabated fossil fuels but fell short of sealing a deal on a timeline to exit the coal. So कोल पे डिपेंडेंस बिल्कुल जीरो करने के लिए जो टाइमलाइन है उस पे कोई फाइनल डील नहीं हुई है कि प्रॉपर टाइमलाइन हो. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट ऑब्वियसली फेजिंग आउट ऑफ फॉसिल फ्यूल्स पे चीजें चल रही है, डेवलपमेंट्स हो रही हैं. सो अगर हम टी कल्टीवेशन की बात करें, सो हॉट एंड ड्राई वेदर इट प्लेज हैवॉक विद द दार्जिलिंग फर्स्ट फ्लश टी. So crop size it may fall up to 40%. So हमें पता होना चाहिए कि टी कल्टीवेशन के लिए, टी प्लांटेशन के लिए क्या क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस इंपॉर्टेंट होती हैं. सो हेयर वी आर सीइंग कि हॉट एंड ड्राई वेदर की वजह से इट इज हार्मिंग दी टी प्लांट्स. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, so Darjeeling tea जो है, it depends upon rains and favorable weather for both quantity and quality of the first flush, which is special and it fetches the highest price in the market. But because of hot and dry weather, it is being impacted. So daytime में temperature has also increased by 4 to 5 degrees Celsius above the normal, which is also again not in the support of tea plants. And then foreign demand की अगर हम बात करें of the Darjeeling tea, so Europe से we are seeing fall in demand and absolutely there is no increase in prices also. Japan also, it is very price resistance because yen is very weak. So notably, over 65% of the first flush tea in volume terms is exported annually. But even globally challenges are in from the climatic perspective also. The farmers, they are facing the challenges. So Darjeeling tea industry faced a double whammy as both the production of the world famous aromatic tea and the price realization from the lucrative world markets, they were significantly lower than year ago levels. सो हैर ये पूरा आर्टिकल बात कर रहे हैं हमारे मिलेट मिशन के ऊपर. सो पिक्चर में आप देख सकते हो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ मिलेट्स, रागी, बाजरा, ज्वार, ऑल दीज आर पार्ट ऑफ मिलेट्स. सो टॉप 5 मिलेट स्टेट्स इंडिया में अगर हम बात करें तो राजस्थान, वहाँ पे वी गेट बाजरा एंड सोरगुम. कर्नाटका में वी गेट ज्वार एंड रागी. महाराष्ट्र में रागी, ज्वार. यूपी में वी गेट बाजरा एंड हरियाणा में वी गेट बाजरा. सो टॉप 5 मिलेट स्टेट्स हो गई राजस्थान, कर्नाटका, महाराष्ट्र, यूपी एंड हरियाणा. So while India it is striving to put millets back on the plates, lack of incentives for the farmers to switch from rice and wheat, and insufficient push for the consumers to make the major change in their diet, they are coming in the way in this mission. So यहाँ पे nutritional value mention की गई है different millets की. So अगर we just quickly go through them. So according to the Indian Institute of Millet Research, millets, they are nutritionally comparable to major cereals and they are a good source of protein है, micronutrients है and phytochemicals हैं. Millets में 7 to 12% protein है, 2 to 5% fat content है, 65 to 75% carbs है and 15 to 20% dietary fibers हैं. So highest proportion of protein हमें मिलता है बाजरा में. उसके बाद finger millets, that is ragi. And finger millets, it is the richest source of calcium. Then millets, they are vitamin rich such as thiamine, riboflavin, folic acid, niacin. So they are vitamin rich also. And small millets में they are more nutritious than fine cereals. So cereals से ज़्यादा nutritious millets है आज के time में. And millets, they are high in fiber also and they also prevent constipation and lower blood cholesterol also. So health benefits भी बहुत सारे हैं and एग्रीकल्चर के पर्सपेक्टिव से भी अगर हम बात करें तो द बेनिफिट्स आर ह्यूज. सो डाइजेशन में दे हेल्प विद द स्लो रिलीज ऑफ ग्लूकोज इन द ब्लड स्ट्रीम, मेकिंग देम अ गुड ऑप्शन फॉर डायबिटिक्स. सो द पीपल हु आर डायबिटिक, उनके लिए कंजम्पशन ऑफ मिलेट्स इज वेरी नाइस, इट इज वेरी हेल्दी ऑप्शन फॉर देम. एंड रेगुलर मिलेट ईटर्स, दे हैव लोअर इंसिडेंस ऑफ डायबिटीज. सो आप अपनी डायबिटीज को कंट्रोल कर पाओगे इजिली. एंड जो लोग ज्यादा मिलेट्स कंज्यूम करते हैं, इट इज बीन फाउंड कि उनमें कार्डियोवास्कुलर डिजीजेस भी नहीं होते हैं एंड ड्यूडेनल अल्सर भी नहीं मिलता है. सो मिलेट्स, दे आर रिच इन फाइटोकेमिकल्स लाइक टैनिन्स, phenolic acids, anthocyanins, and likewise, which are good for our health. And they also have antioxidant properties and they help regulate digestion. So they have anti-carcinogenic properties also. So आप देख सकते हो कितने सारे benefits हैं of having millets. सो साउथ इंडिया में दे आर नोन बाय द नेम श्री अन्ना. वहां पे आप मिलेट्स नहीं बोलते हो, दे आर कॉल्ड एज श्री अन्ना. एंड यहाँ पे हिस्टोरिकल पर्सपेक्टिव की भी बात करी है कि मिलेट्स जो पहले civilizations थी इंडिया में, like अरुणाचल प्रदेश में, millets they have remained an intrinsic part of Indians' diet, probably since the Indus Valley civilization in 3000 BC, where the earliest traces of these were found. So millets Indus Valley civilization के time से इंडिया में grow की जा रही है, and India, it continues to be the biggest producer of millets in the world. So however, while it like comprised 20% of India's food grain basket up to 1965 to 70, and it has come down. So उसके बाद से मतलब जो हमारा डिपेंडेंस है या फिर जो इसका शेयर है, मिलेट्स का शेयर है in our food grain basket, that has declined with time. So earlier it was 20% and आज के टाइम में it has 6% share only. So dominance of rice and wheat बहुत ज़्यादा है when it comes to our food habits या फिर हमारी डाइट में. So उसको कम करके we can shift to consumption of more millets. And reasons बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है, अभी हमने इतने सारे benefits, अभी just we had just go through the benefits of millets. So here in this article, again, every Sunday we have one article from P. Chidambaram sir. So here it is about prosecutor, jury, and the judge. So old Ramanathapuram district, Tamil Nadu, it is now divided into three, and it is a district with multiple water bodies. It has natural lakes, man-made tanks, and irrigation tanks, and drinking water ponds. So old Ramanathapuram, it was dry land district that received little rainfall, and most जो agricultural land था that was unirrigated and monsoon पे dependent था. So people and their rulers, they had no choice but to dig and dig and dig and create water bodies. So they did that round the year, and water bodies were the lifeline for both the people and the animals. So as the population it increased, time के साथ population increase हुई, new human settlements they were set up, and casualty was the water body. So time tested tactic was creeping encroachments होने लग गई. A few huts will spring up on the edges of the water body, more will be erected in the following months. So obviously water source के आसपास ज़्यादा human habitations आने लग गई, and as these encroachments they increased, water bodies कम होने लग गई, and एक दिन ऐसा आया कि कोई भी वाटर बॉडी नहीं बची. So like when the sea advanced, the coastline receded. So it is called erosion. So two words, encroachment and erosion, they apply to the freedom also. So इस चीज को the author is joining with the freedom also, कि हमारी freedom पे भी encroachment and हमारी freedom को erode किया जा रहा है. So in a free country, freedom will not be snatched at midnight. It will be eroded silently, furtively, and insidiously until you know one day कि you no longer you are as free as you were some months ago. जैसे कि अभी वाटर बॉडीज के केस में भी हुआ कि पहले एक पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे इतनी सारी वाटर बॉडीज थी, एंड स्लोली स्लोली एक दिन आपने रियलाइज किया कि कोई भी वाटर बॉडी नहीं बची है आपके एरिया में. सिमिलरली आपकी फ्रीडम के साथ होता है कि एक पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे you had the proper freedom with reasonable restrictions, but then gradually you come to know कि slowly and insidiously आपको realize भी नहीं हुआ कि your freedom it is being restricted. So जब आपको realization होता है that you have lost your freedom, it will be too late to retrieve जो आप lost कर चुके हो. So यहाँ पे he's saying कि don't live under this illusion that you cannot lose your freedom. इस चीज से बाहर निकलने की जरूरत है कि आप इस चीज में नहीं रह सकते कि आप अपनी फ्रीडम कभी भी लूज ही नहीं कर सकते हो. सो इज कि जस्ट काउंट द नेशंस दैट गॉट फ्रीडम एट अबाउट सेम टाइम एज इंडिया डिड इन 1947. and in the following decade. And now count how many of them they have lost their freedom, not to the colonizers, but to native autocrats. So आज के time में he is just like making a comparison between these two things. So many of these countries they still have an election commission भी है, elections भी किए जाते हैं countries में, judiciary है, judges है, parliament है, MPs है, cabinet है, ministers है, newspapers है, journalist है. But when you visit the country और जब आप उस देश में रहने लग जाते हो, you know it is not a free country. So it is not important कि अगर ये सारे components है उसके बाद भी वो country में आपको freedom proper मिलेगी. But such countries they have the trappings of a free country, but they are authoritarian states. Actually में they are authoritarian states जहाँ पे आपको लगता है कि you don't have like the required freedom. And there's a VDEM Institute of Sweden. It has classified countries as liberal democracy hai, electoral democracy, electoral autocracy, and closed autocracy. So 2021 में this institute India को जो classify किया गया, it gave India the tag of electoral autocracy, and it is a badge of shame. So successive amendments, अगर हम constitutional articles की बात करें, Article 14 and Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A and G of the Constitution, they protect our freedom of the every individual as well as the institution which is called the press. So Article 14 and 19, it protects the freedom even to individuals and institutions like press also, media also. So it was basically 6 April 2023 की अगर हम बात करें तो the author is saying कि it was the day on which erosion of freedom of the press got the sanction of a doubtful law. So अभी जो IT rules में amendment किए गए हैं, he is talking about that कि amendments की वजह से जो freedom है that has eroded. press की अगर हम बात करें, एंड ड्यूरिंग द इमरजेंसी 1975 के टाइम में 2 साल जो नेशनल इमरजेंसी थी, फ्रीडम ऑफ प्रेस, इट वाज स्नैच्ड ओवरनाइट. एंड on April 6 the government it has amended the IT rules जो भी मैंने आपको बोला, जिसमें obviously fact checking unit होगा. अगर कोई भी content social media पे it would be categorized as fake या misleading, तो उसको उस सोशल मीडिया इंटरमीडियरी को रिमूव करना पड़ेगा. तो इन अ वे इट इज बीइंग सेड कि फ्रीडम ली जा रही है. एंड यहाँ पे क्लॉजेस आर आल्सो मेंशन्ड, सो यू कैन गो थ्रू दैट. जो भी रिसेंट चेंजेस किए गए हैं बेसिकली रूल्स में, दैट इज मेंशन्ड. एंड so that's what he is just focusing upon कि IT rules में. So जिस तरीके से he is presented with the examples, that was like a new thing to learn today. But yeah, जो main focus था वो freedom के ऊपर है, जो IT rules में amendment की गई हैं उसी के ऊपर है. Lastly, taking up Indian Express newspaper and the important articles that we have missed so far. So these two people, Atik and his brother, they have been shot dead by the UP police, not by UP police, but he was both of them were under the UP police escort, and live TV pe they have been murdered. So CM, he has set up a 3-member judicial panel to probe the murders, and Section 144 of CRPC has been imposed across all the districts. So Umesh Pal murder case mein 6 they have been killed so far, and still we are counting. So that's a small update. And so lithium beyond original site exploration scope may be expanded. So थोड़ी और ज़्यादा we can say हमारी expectations increase हो गई हैं. So geographical formation Jammu and Kashmir में, wherein we had discovered the inferred lithium resources of around 5.9 million tons, they were recently established, likely extends well beyond the original location. So ये माना जा रहा है कि जिस region में discover किए थे, it is possible कि आसपास वाले area में भी we might get more. And so the discovery, so these are inferred lithium resources. और थोड़ा अगर हम इसके बारे में like inferred रिसोर्सेज होते हैं और एक होते हैं उनको जब इकोनॉमिकली आप दे वुड बी इकोनॉमिकली वाइबल जब हम उनको एक सेफ तरीके से वी आर एबल टू एक्सट्रैक्ट देम, सो तब हम उनको बोल सकते हैं कि दे एक्चुअली आर रिसोर्सेज एंड हम उनको यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं। बट अभी के लिए दे आर ओनली इन्फर्ड लिथियम रिजर्व्स जो हमें जम्मू कश्मीर के रीसे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में मिली थी। एंड डेफिनेटली लिथियम का यूसेज हमें पता है कि they would be used in making batteries, electric vehicles में it would be used, it's a very important raw material। and right now जो हमारी major dependence that is upon China, so we are importing lithium from majorly from China and we are trying कि एक country के ऊपर dependence को कम करने के बजाय मतलब ज्यादा एक कंट्री पे डिपेंड होने के बजाय उसको डाइवर्सिफाई कर दे बिटवीन डिफरेंट कंट्रीज एंड दैट टू हमें डोमेस्टिकली भी कुछ रिजल्ट्स मिले हैं, तो दैट इज द अप्रोच going forward। So this article we have already discussed in Financial Express. It is exactly the same article. So MCLR rate हाइक किया गया है बाय टू बैंक्स, बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा एंड कैनरा बैंक। एंड कुछ दिन पहले हमने देखा था कि HDFC बैंक ने MCLR रेट कम कर दिया था क्योंकि अभी रिसेंटली RBI ने रेपो रेट को इंक्रीज नहीं किया, तो इट मेंटेन द स्टेटस को। सो इंडियाज लार्जेस्ट लेंडर SBI दे हैव केप्ट इट्स MCLR अनचेंज। सो ऑब्वियसली ये हर बैंक के ऊपर डिपेंड करते हैं, MCLR रेट एग्जैक्टली सेम नहीं होता है हर बैंक के लिए। सो RBI ने रेपो रेट क्यूमुलेटिवली अगर हम बात करें 2.5% से इंक्रीज कर दिया गया है अभी तक। अगर हम टोटल इंक्रीज की बात करें तो राइट नाउ इट इज एट 6.5%, पहले 4% था। दिस मतलब बिफोर दिस RBI adopted this tight monetary policy COVID-19 टाइम से पहले, तो इट वाज एट 4%, 2.5% से रेपो रेट इंक्रीज कर दिया गया। सो MCLR रेट की अगर हम बात करें तो इट इज दी मिनिमम इंटरेस्ट रेट जिसके नीचे बैंक्स दे कैन नॉट लेंड। सो बैंक्स लोन देते हैं, सो एक मिनिमम इंटरेस्ट रेट है जिसको हम MCLR रेट बोलते हैं, जिससे नीचे बैंक्स लोन लेंड नहीं करते हैं। सो फुल फॉर्म इज द मार्जिनल कॉस्ट बेस्ड लेंडिंग रेट and the banks they calculate the operating cost as a percentage of the marginal cost of the funds for computing this MCLR। बहुत सारे factors ले जाते हैं when you decide कि क्या MCLR rate होगा। factors like deposit rates, cost of maintaining the cash reserve ratio, they are used to fix the MCLR rate apart from operating cost bank अपनी calculate करते हैं। so उसमें different factors होते हैं जो अभी हमने mention किए। सूडान के बारे में हम बात कर चुके हैं। There we are seeing clashes between military and paramilitary forces and so that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and there's also a PDF link in the description box that has been shared with you guys. You can go through that once and do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for this video. Thank you so much for joining us.